what it do? It's your girl coming through with another video. Yeah, how you guys doing? I hope you guys are alright. Now, like you can see from the title of this video, this is going to be a quick tips video. This series is aimed to help you with your SL photography and SL photography editing skills. Yes, now it's supposed to be between 5 to 10 minutes, but the subject of today's video is going to take longer than that, I think, but I'm going to try rush through it as much as I can. So we are going to focus on lighting. Now, lighting can make or break your photos. You can use them in amazing ways to create different textures and stories for your photos. And in particular, I am going to be focusing on using SL's feature of like a light box. So you can res a Prim and you can turn that Prim into a projector which can project light, and you can use that to light your scene. So that's what we're going to be focusing on in this video. So I have resed a Prim, and let's go into build mode and see the features for today's video. Okay, so I have resed a Prim. Like you can see, I'm going to right click it, edit it, and in the edit dialog box, we're going to go into features, and at the bottom of that you're going to see the word light. Next to that is a checkbox. Now all you have to do is click this checkbox and you're done. You have turned this Prim into a light source. Oh, that's it. That was easy. Okay, thank you for watching this video. Hope you liked it. No, I'm just joking. So we have now turned this Prim into a light source. Now my Windlight is quite bright, so you can't really see it, so I am going to change my Windlight into something a lot darker so we can see the lights in this video. So I have turned my Windlight into a much darker one so we can see the effect of this light. So like you can see, once you turn on the check mark for the light, you will get a radial light that lights the area in all directions. This is a point light. Now this light does not cast any shadows. So if I had an object in front of me, it wouldn't cast any shadows onto my background. Okay. It also doesn't react to the material and shininess of like your body, and all it does, it just kind of brightens up the place. Okay, but we can change this spotlight into a projection light, and how we do that is right at the bottom in the corner there is two boxes. The box on the right is white and the box next to it is gray with an X in it. If we click that gray box and we choose, and at the top we choose blank, whoop, there it goes. We click OK to accept. We have now turned this spotlight into a projection light. Like you can see the main difference of this. A projection light projects a light in one direction. This light reacts to the materials and shininess of objects, and it also casts shadows. So those are the two main differences of these two lights. So I'm going to walk you through how we can use these two lights to light up our subject. Are you ready? Yes. So in real photography, there is three different types of light. They're not different types of light, but they're like different ways of using light. Okay, and this is the three I want to focus on today, which is a main light, a fill light, and a rim light. Okay, and main light is the main source of light in the room. So it's the light that kind of lights everything up, makes everything bright and happy, and you use that to just flood the room with light. Okay, so For this type of light, I think a spotlight will work much better than a projection light. But you can use either or, okay? So to turn this Prim back into a spotlight, all we do is to click the square on the right, and at the top, click none. Now we have and click OK to accept it. And now we have turned this Prim's light back into a spotlight. So like you can see, it just casts shadow in all directions and evenly. Okay, so this I think is a good one to use for a main light. Okay, but like I said, you can use either or. Now the second one we're going to be diving into today is a fill light. Okay, a fill light is a lower intensity light and is used to help brighten the shadows on the subject. So if you have a subject and you see there's a lot of darkness on one side because maybe the sun is on the other side or your main light is on the other side, it creates a darker side on the opposite side. Now if you want to fill that with light, so to lessen the shadows, you can use a fill light. Okay, so it's a less intensity light to help you fill in the shadows. Okay, and the last light we're going to look into is a rim light. A rim light is a very high intense light, but is used in a particular way, in a small particular way, and we're going to dive into that today. So let's go back to me, the subject, and let's play with these types of lights, shall we? Alright. Okay, so we are back to facing me, and like you can see with this Windlight, there's little to no sunlight. So this is a great Windlight to use to play around with these lights. So you can't really see me, can you? So I think the first thing we should do is to flood the room with light, and that's what we're going to use main light for. And so I'm gonna zoom out. And I've already kind of set these up to make things quicker. So I'm going to right click this box and I'm going to turn on the light. Like you can see, woo, look at all that light. Like you can see, it filled the room with light. Now you can see me and the objects in the room. I am using a point light. You can also use a projection light to fill. You can also use a projection light for a main light as well, and let me just show you how that would look like. Click on the box at the top, click blank and accept. So like you can see, I have now turned this into a projection light. So like you can see, it has projected the light in one direction. So when you're using this type of light, you have to move the box, rotate the box in the position that you want. Now light looks most flattering. Wow. Light looks most flattering on human subjects when it's positioned slightly above eye level. So that's where I've kind of put it. So you can use this projection light as a main light, or you can use the point light. Now if you are using a projection light, there's other features that we need to look into. So let's do that. Okay, so I have selected the Prim that is working as our main light, and I'm in build mode and in the features tab. Now we have some settings here, and I'm going to dive into what they do. The first one here is intensity. Intensity is kind of what it says. Intensity is the brightness of the light. So if we lower this down, we get a lower light, or all the way off, and if we raise it, we get a stronger light, like you can see. Next to that is the radius. Radius is the distance the light is. So if we lower the radius, the distance the light is traveling is shorter. So it's not getting lighter. No. This light is not getting dimmer. The light is traveling a shorter distance. That's what's happening. So the light, even though it does look like it's getting dimmer, it's not getting dimmer. It's just getting shorter. So if I was to move the box forward, you can see the intensity of the light has remained the same. You can see the intensity of the light is the same, it's still strong. It's just that the distance the light is traveling has gotten shorter. Okay, so that's what the radius does. The fall off is oh, let me just do this. The fall off is how quickly the light fades to black. But I don't, it kind of just dims it, but I'm gonna play with it. So it kind of just dims it down, but it's how quickly the light turns to black, basically. So there we go. So now these next three settings are only available in projection lighting. Now the first one in this side is FOV. This is the point of view. Okay, this, if I zoom out a little bit, this changes the size of the light, so it makes it smaller, like you can see. So it looks like it's like a really pinpoint light, and we can go the opposite way and make it larger to fill up the room. There we go. See, I'm gonna put it back where it was, if I can remember. There it goes. Next one is focus. Focus is how blurry the light is over the distance. So the further away the light is from the subject, the blurrier it gets. So now the numbers indicate how small or big the decay is. So focus is how blurry the light is over distance. So anything that's really close to the light will be sharp. The light will hit it sharply, and anything that is further away, the light will hit it softly with a blur. Okay, so the number just changes how quickly it decays from sharp to blurry. Okay, so I don't want a strong light. I don't want it to be strong. Like you can see, it's really strong when you lift it up, and then when you go down, it decays slowly, like you can see, which I think is a lot more pleasing. And the last one here is ambience. Now, ambience is, it adds low level light across all faces within the light radius. Okay, so this is to simulate light being spread over multiple areas. Okay, so the higher the number, the more surface the light is touching. The lower the number, the less surfaces the light is touching. Okay, so if I lift up the numbers, I want you to focus on the shadows and see what happens when I increase the number of the ambience. Like you can see, as I increase the ambience, more light is touching the shadows. Okay, so that's what ambience does. It spreads the light or adds more light to places there isn't really. So that's the setting. So let's now dive in how we're going to use all of this to create a beautiful photo. So like I said, this is our main light. Now, like I said, you can use projection lighting, but I am going to use a point light instead of a projection light. So I'm going to click on the box on the left, and at the top I'm going to click none and turn it back into a point light. Voila, like you can see, it fills the room with light. So that's why I feel like it's a good starting point to where to lighten up your area. So now that we have a main light should be really bright, so the intensity is all the way up to where it can be. I also put depending on how far your subject is, my radius is at 10, but if your subject is closer, you don't need the number as high. If the subject is further away from the light, then you need the radius to be higher. So it depends on how much of the room you want to fill with light, the radius. Okay, so now that we have this light, we can add a second main light. You know, you don't need to just use one of each type of light. You can use as much as you want. So we can add an additional main light if you want to. And I have it here. So here is our second main light. Now this one is not a point light. I have made this into a projection light. So it's gonna focus the light in one direction and it's pointing at my subject. So I'm gonna turn it on and we're gonna see how it looks like. There we go. So with the second main light, it's the same intensity, same radius, it's the same type of light. But this is a projection light. So it's focusing its energy in one direction, and it is, and I put it opposite my subject to fill in the shadows of the main light. A main light can fill in shadows as well if you want, especially if you have like a big room you want to fill. You need multiple lights to fill in all the shadows that you don't want. So let's zoom in and see how this is looking. So right now we have one main light to the left of us that is a point light that is flooding the room with light, and we have another light on the opposite side on our right, okay, which is a projection light which is focusing the light in one direction that is pointed at our subject. Okay, so this is how two main lights look. Okay, it looks nice. I like it. We can take a picture and be done. But why? Well, we don't need to do that. We can do more with light. We can do more of this. So before I move on, I just want to turn on and off the second main light to see the difference it makes on our subject. So I'm going to turn it off. There it goes. I'm going to turn it back on. So you can see what the difference the second main light is doing for us. If we turn it off, you can see the main light that we have on our left is lighting up the left side of my subject's face. Sorry, I don't know my left from my right, you know. So like you can see, it's lighting up the left side of my subject's face. But you can see on the right side, there's a lot of deep shadow. They're almost pitch black on the right side of her face. Now, that's where the second main light came in. The second main light came in and we put it on the opposite side to fill in these harsh shadows. Voila! So now it is nice and lit. There's no harsh shadows being cast. It looks really nice. But let's do more. Now, like I said, the second light we are going to play with is fill light. Okay, fill light is a lesser intensity light that is used to fill in shadows. Okay, but like you can see, our second main light is doing quite a good job at filling in the shadow that the first main light is casting. But you can still. But if you really want to get rid of all that shadow, but you don't want to add additional light, that's the difference between adding a second main light and using a fill light. Okay, our second main light is filling out the shadows, but it's also giving us additional lighting around her, around the area, around the background. But a fill light just fills in the shadow. It concentrates its light on filling in the shadows and it doesn't add too much additional light. So let's turn off our second main light. Boop. And let's turn on a fill light and see how that looks. Okay, so we have turned off the second main light and I have now turned on our fill light. Now if I zoom out, you can see I have positioned the fill light very low to the ground and is aiming up at our subject, directly at the shadows we do not want. Okay, so right now all we have is one main light and we have one fill light. I'm going to turn off the fill light and see the difference it's making. Okay, so I'm going to turn it off. There we go. I'm going to turn it back on. So you can see it fills in the light, but not as well as the second main light, but it fills in the shadows. Sorry, it fills in the shadows, but it fills it in without adding so much additional light. You can see that everywhere, like our background still is the same, and you can see our subject is relatively still the same. So it doesn't give you, it just fills in the shadows without adding additional light. Okay, turn it off, turn it on. Okay, so that's it. So let's turn on the second main light and let's have all three lights on together and see how that looks. Okay, so now we have a main light, we have a second main light, and we have a fill light at the bottom. We have three lights that are lighting our subject, and this is how it looks. Okay, now I just want to, before I move on, I just want to turn on and off the fill light to see the difference it makes when we have two additional main lights. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the fill light and see the difference it's making. So turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on. So like you can see, because we have an additional second main light, which is helping us fill in the light, the fill light is not as powerful, so the difference it's making is only subtle. So there we go. Okay, so the last light we're going to look at is rim lights. Now rim light is kind of like a creative, it's like a creative choice type of thing. It's not meant to kind of fill in, like, it's not meant to kind of fill in anything. It's not meant to kind of help you light up the place. Is really kind of like a decorative light. I think that's what I would call it. It's like a decorative type of light. Now a rim light is a high intensity light that is placed behind the subject and behind the subject facing it. Okay, and what that does, okay, sorry for my, like, I can't speak. What that does is that it creates a silhouette of light around your subject, which looks really, really nice. So let's turn one on. I've already got it placed. So like you can see, I have positioned a light behind my subject, and it's quite high and it's facing down towards her. I'm gonna turn it on now, and I want you to look at my subject and see what the light is doing. So turning it on, turning it off, turning it on, turning it off. So like you can see, it's very subtle. It just adds a streak of light around the edges and high points of your subject, which just looks nice, really. So I'm going to turn it back on. So what you can do is add multiple rim lights to get the rim of light in different areas of the subject. So I have positioned 2 more rim lights, and we're going to see how those look like. So I have now selected my second rim light, and I'm going to turn it on, and we're going to see what difference that also makes. The first rim light is already on. So turn on the second rim light, turn it off the second rim light, turn it on the second rim light. So like you can see, it added more like streaks of light to my subject. Now I have positioned 1 more rim light, and I'm going to turn that on. So like you can see, I positioned my third rim light on the other side of her, and we're going to turn it on and see the difference it makes. So turning it on, turning it off, turning it on, turning it off. So there you go. So I'm going to turn it back on. So that is the difference the rim lights are making. So these are just decorative lights. It's just really pretty to see the kind of shine and glisten on your skin. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Okay. So let me just get our build mode. And this is our final look. This is our final light. With all the lights are on. We have 2 main lights. We have a fill light and 3 rim lights. And this is how it looks like. Now, depending on what type of photo you want to use, you can add more fill lights, you can add more rim lights, you can add less fill lights, you can add less main lights. So depending on the type of photo you want, depends on you know, how many lights you're going to use. Okay, one final light that I want to just talk about is just adding a light behind the subject. And what that does, it just brightens the background, okay, and kind of gives like your avatar like an aura, I guess, and it gives your avatar like an aura around her. There's a burst of light that's coming behind her. So let's see how that looks like. So there it goes. I have added multiple lights behind her to make the background lighter. It kind of gives the background in an ombre effect, which kind of gives a pizzazz to your picture. Okay, but because the light is not that strong, I use multiple of them, and I'll show you how that looks like. So like you can see, I have placed like about 6 Prim lights behind my avatar, just because I wanted it as intense as I can get. The more lights you put there, the more intense it gets. So I put a lot of those, and it creates a ombre effect on the wall behind her, which kind of gives her like a glowing aura. Okay, so before I move on to the last few things, I am going to do a slideshow on how my subject looks with and without all the different elements of light that I have put on her. So that's how you can use only Prim lights to light up your subject. What you can also use Prim lights for is in addition to the sunlight. So using Windlight and using Prim light together to make a cohesive family. So let's just do that. I'm going to delete all the lights I have now, and I'm going to pick a Windlight that has sunlight, and we're going to see how we can use Prim light in addition to Windlights to create a cohesive family. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, so I have picked a Windlight. I am using Swain Windlight, the chocolate series, and I'm using number 10 in the chocolate series. Now, when you are playing with Windlights, you want the angle of the sun to be slightly above eye level. Okay, you don't want it too high, because if you make the sunlight too high, it creates shadows underneath your eyes, which is not flattering. And if you make it too low, you also get this like kind of like ghostly, you know, those horror movies when they put the light under the face. Kind of gives this ghostly, scary effect. So you don't want that. So you want to position the sunlight slightly above eye level, okay? And that's where I've got it. So now that we have our sunlight, let's raise a Prim and let's turn it into a light and let's play with it, okay? And see what we can do. So like you can see, I have raised a box. I have put it like kind of at eye level, and I'm going to turn it on, and we're just going to use a simple pin light, spotlight, you know what I'm saying, a simple light. So we're going to turn it on. And instantly, like you can see, it kind of gives highlight to my clothes. It fills in the shadows a little bit. Let me toggle between the two so you can see the difference. So light with the light off, and the light on, light off, light on. Like you can see, it really adds highlights to my clothes, and it fills in the shadows quite a bit. Now, like I said, there's limitations to this type of light. It doesn't cast shadows. So if you want like it doesn't cast shadows, and you can't play with the ambience, which I think is a good touch. So we're gonna turn on the projection light, like so. And I'm gonna reposition it to face me. Okay, so I have now changed the light into a projection light, and like you can see, it does the similar type of thing. I'm gonna turn it on and off again. We'll turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on. So it's given a nice highlight to the clothes. It's filling in the shadows just like the other light. But with this one, we can now play with the ambience. Now the ambience helps to kind of fill in the shadows a bit more. So let's turn up the ambience and see what that does. Alright, so with the ambience turned up, we can see that it has helped to fill in the shadows even more. So let's just hide our Prim and see how it looks. So there it goes. We have the main light from our Windlight on our right side, and we have a projection light on our left side. So this is how you can use projection lights or the Prim lights to help with the overall lighting of your Windlight. Okay, so I hope I'm making sense. This is kind of hard. This is why I don't like doing long tutorials, because I don't know, sometimes along the way I don't make sense. So hopefully this makes sense. If you have any like questions or anything that's said that you still don't understand, leave your questions below. I will try and get to them. I'm really bad at like replying straight away, but I will try to get to them as quickly as I possibly can. So hopefully you're following. So this is how you can use the two lights in conjunction with each other. Now we are going to move on to creative lighting, some more creative lighting, a creative way of using projection lights. Okay. Oh, before I move on, actually, this is very important. I can't believe I almost forgot. When you're using Prim lights to help you light up your scene, and you're also using your Windlight Sun as the main light, you need to match the color of the light. So here, like you can see, the color of my Windlight right now is quite on the reddish side, and you can see my highlights are quite white. The color of the light for my Prim is white, but I want to match it with the color of the environment so it looks a lot more natural. So I'm gonna make the light slightly reddish, so like so. So you can see as soon as I did that, the difference it makes. So I'm gonna go back to the white light and see how that looks. So that's the white light, and I'm gonna go back to the kind of reddish tint. So like you can see, it kind of matches the environment and makes it more natural. Now we turn on and off the light so you can see the difference. So turning it off and turning it on, turning it off, turning it on. So I just want to quickly say that before I move on. Okay, let's move on now. Okay, so like you can see, I am back to using a Windlight that has no sun. You can't see anything. There is no light around me, because I want to show you a creative way of using light that you can use and utilize for your photos, and that is the projection light. The projection light, you can upload a texture, and you can put that into the light, and it will project that image. Okay, you can use this function to create cool effects, and I'm going to show you two of them that I like to use. I'm going to show you two of them that I like to use. So we're going to res a Prim, we're going to turn on the light, and I'll show you how to import different effects to change the light. Okay, so I've res the Prim, I've turned it on, and is on projection mode. So both of the squares are white at the bottom right corner. Now the square on the left is where we're going to upload an image, and not just any image. In Photoshop, I created white light. Okay, and I saved it with a transparent background and uploaded it into Second Life. Now let's see what happens when I put that image in the left hand box. Okay, so I'm going to click that. I'm going to find the texture of the white bars that I made in Photoshop. I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to see what we have created. Ooh, like you can see, it has given us this like light through blinds effect. I really love this effect actually. So this kind of gives you the effect that there's light going through blinds, and you can use different images to create different types of this cool lighting. So if you change the focal view, you can change how big or small the lines are. And this is I think this is such a cool thing. Alright. Also, I'm going to show you one more picture that I uploaded, and we're going to see how that looks like. Okay, the second picture I uploaded is a silhouette of windows. So this kind of gives you the effect that there's light going through a window and you're sitting in front. Now, if you're doing like a morning type of photo, if you're doing like a morning type of photo where you're like against, like in your bedroom, if you just add a light with a projection of a window silhouette, it kind of looks like, light is coming through your windows. I mean, you can play around with this effects all you want. You can change the focal length. Changing the focal length will change the size of it, like you can see. And yeah, you can do really cool stuff. You can do really cool stuff with this. You can also change the light by clicking on the bottom box on the right. You can change the light. Maybe just change it to like a blue. Look at that. So that's a blue light. It kind of gives it moody. It kind of looks like nighttime now. You can change it to gray to make the light softer. You can change it to pink. I mean, you can go all out and do really cool stuff with this. I really like this effect. Okay, are you guys still with me? I hope I've been making sense. I've been kind of like being like tripping over my words, and I don't know if I'm making sense. I really hope I'm making sense. But there's one last thing I want to show you before I end this quick tips video, and that is you can buy on Marketplace different projection lights that you can attach to yourself. Now, these lights make it incredibly easy to just light your subject. All you have to do is add it to yourself, and the work has been done for you. Now, there's two places that I have that I can show you, and there's probably other places that does this, but I'm going to show you the two that I have. Okay, so the first projection light that I have is by Fox City. It's called Skin FX Volume 1, and we're gonna play around with this. So like you can see, we're back in a no sun, no light, Windlight. There's no light at all. I am going to attach one of these lights. I'm gonna pick the wild ones. So I'm gonna right click it, add it to myself, and see what happens. Oh, look how awesome that looks! So this Fox City Skin FX Wild Ones has this cool, sexy, seductive purple lighting. This looks so cool, and you can see there's like intense light in the eye area, and then it fades to black, giving this mysterious look. This is so awesome. This looks so good, and it's so quick. You didn't have to set up lights. This is such like, if you want to take a quick photo and you want awesome lighting, but you can't be bothered to be resin out prims and maneuvering them into the right position, these are awesome for quick but amazing pictures. So let's try on a different one. Let's try on Golden Girls. Let's try this one on. Oh, look at that. It looks so nice. Now here in the description, or in the title, this Golden Girls is more suited for brighter wind lights. So let's pick a wind light that is a lot brighter, shall we? So here we have a more brighter light, and it just emphasizes, I love it. It just adds a little oomph to an already lit area. I love this. Okay, so the second projector light that you can buy is by Hera. This is new to me. I found out about this projector light from another person's YouTube. I don't know her name. I will have her name somewhere in the screen, and I'll have her YouTube channel in the description below. So you can also buy this from Marketplace. And let's just try them. I've never tried these before, so I don't even know how it looks like. So let's try what looks good to me. Sunset Bliss. Oh, that sounds good. So let's add Sunset Bliss to us. Let's attach it and see how it looks like. Ooh, this really gives a very moody light. Can you see it's not meant to kind of light you up, but it's meant to kind of add mood and mysteriousness. So it doesn't light you up as much as the Foxy does. So let's take this one off and let's try another one. Let's try Ice White. Okay, so it's the same type of lighting, but just different colors. Okay, so in that case, oh, there's one here that says body light. So let's say it's harsh, medium, and subtle. Let's try medium. Let's go right in the middle. Okay, so I guess you use this in conjunction together, because together it does light you up. So the body light kind of acts like a fill light, like a cross between a main light and a fill light, because it is subtle, but it is generally lighting you up. And then the color highlight projectors are kind of acting like rim lights, because they're just like decorative light that look good. Cool. Let's try the more harsh body light. Oh, there it goes. That lights us up a little bit more. And let's try a different color highlights. Let's try purple roulette. Okay, this looks so cool. So you need to use both of them in conjunction with each other. So the body light kind of just gives you a general white light that kind of just lights you up, and then the projectors add different color rim lights to add emphasis. No, that's not the word. You know the word. I'm not gonna try. You know what I'm trying to say. So that is cool. So I also got this dual color light. It really looks cool in the ad. So let's take off this light and let's try on the dual color highlight collection. Again, it has like a body light, so let's try a harsh body light. Let's wear that first. That's cool. So it just gives you a nice general light. And let's try on the projectors. Let's try Dawn. Ooh, I like this. So it looks like it's two colors. It looks like there's like an orangey and a reddish color that has been emitted on the right side. That is really awesome. Let's try a different color. Let's try Sirens. Oh, and that gives you a purple pink or bluish pink combination. That is awesome. So I really like how they mix and match the colors in this one. So let's try one more from them. Let's try this color mix. So again, let's just put on the body light first, which is like a general white light. And then let's try these mixes. So we have green and red. Let's see how this green and red look like. Ooh, so you have green on one side and red on the other side. I like that. Let's take that off. Let's try a red and orange. Oh, I like this. So I can see this looking nice in conjunction with Windlight. So let's put on a Windlight. Let's look at a Windlight and see how it looks with the Windlight. Okay, so that's it for today's video. Oh my gosh, it was a long one. This is the reason why I don't do long videos, because if I talk too long, I start speaking in tongues and stuff like that. So, anyways, I hope you understood this. I hope it was clear. Any questions you have or anything that isn't quite clear, leave your questions in the comments below. I will try to reply to them as soon as I can. And I hope you like this video. And my next video is going to be about Zeolife. Okay, so subscribe if you want to see that, and put your notifications on to know when I will upload that video. And take care, my loves, and until next time, stay safe. Bye.